Okay. How is it? It's time to start, right? 2 minutes. Oh, I got 2 minutes. Okay, thanks. If you need a thumbs up, yes, yes, sir. You know the time. She will come. Otherwise, it's fine. You can all read. It's on. It's on. She has a responsibility to put on screen. So, no, no. You just see. At least you are here.
Homage to the teachers.
Hi, Elaine. Nice to see you. Good afternoon, Elaine, Lima, Cassie, Richard. Yeah. So I think we can start now. Let me share the screen for the Sutta today. It's Mahasaccaka Sutta. And I would like everyone to take part on this. moment, yeah. Okay, can you see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Your screen, but I'm having a little bit of trouble with hearing you.
Me too.
I see the microphone.
It's a little muffled.
Compared to the morning session, right, Elaine?
The morning session was fine. A little bit, yeah, actually it was a little bit low.
I see.
But later on it was better.
Let me see what I can do here. Okay, I got it. The reason. Okay. How about now? Better, right? Thank you. Let me share my screen again. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So today we will discuss about this Majjhima Nikaya number 36, the greatest discourse to Sakacha. In Pali, we call it Mahasaccaka Sutta. So I will start with this first few paragraphs, and I would like to invite everyone here to join in and to read through the sutta before we start the discussion for this afternoon session. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Vesali in the great wood in the hall with the peaked roof. Now on that occasion, when it was morning, the Blessed One had finished dressing and had taken his bowl and outer robe, desiring to go into Vesali for alms. Then as Saccaka, the Niganta son, was walking and wandering for exercise, he came to the hall with the picket roof in the great wood. The Venerable Ananda saw him coming in the distance and said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, here comes Saccaka, the Niganta son, a debater and a clever speaker regarded by many as a saint. He wants to discredit the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. It would be good if the Blessed One would sit down for a while out of compassion. The Blessed One sat down on the seat made ready. Then Saccaka, the Niganta son, went up to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and said to the Blessed One, Master Gautama, there are some recluses and Brahmins who abide pursuing development of body, but not developing of mind. They are touched by bodily painful feeling. In the past, when one was touched by bodily painful feeling, one's thighs would become rigid, one's heart would burst, hot blood would gush from one's mouth, and one would go mad, go out of one's mind. So then, the mind was subservient to the body wielded mastery over it. Why is that? Because the mind was not developed. But there are some recluses and Brahmins who abide pursuing development of mind, but not development of body. They are touched by mental painful feeling. In the past, when one was touched by mental painful feeling, one's thighs would become rigid, one's heart would burst, hot blood would gush from one's mouth, and one would go mad, go out of one's mind. So then the body was subservient to the mind wielded mastery over it. Why is that? Because the body was not developed. Master Gautama, it has occurred to me, surely Master Gautama's disciples about pursuing development of mind, but not development of body. I will invite Elaine to continue the next one, please.
But Agivesana,
Agivesana.
I'm sorry.
Agivesana.
Agivesana.
So the pronunciation is Agi and Vesana separate two words. A-G-I, Agi, then V-E-S, Vesana.
Agivesana.
All right.
Agivesana. What have you learned about the development of the body? Well, there are, for example, Nada, Vacha, Kisa Sankika, Pali, Gosala. They go naked, rejecting conventions, licking their hands, not coming when asked, not stopping when asked. They do not accept food brought or food specially made or an invitation to a meal. They receive nothing from a pot, from a bowl, from a threshold, across a stick, across a pestle, from two eating together, from a pregnant woman, from a woman giving suck, from a man in the midst of men, but from a woman in the midst of men, from where food is advertised to be distributed, from where a dog is waiting, from where flies are buzzing. They accept no fish, meat. They drink no liquor, wine, or fermented brew. They keep to one house, to one morsel. They keep to two houses, two morsels. They keep to 7 houses, to 7 morsels. They live on 1 saucer full a day, on 2 saucers full a day, on 7 saucers full a day. They take food once a day, once every 2 days, once every 7 days, thus even up to every fortnight. They dwell pursuing the practice of taking food at stated intervals, but do they subsist on so little agavesana? No, Master Gautama.
Okay.
Sometimes they can, I'm sorry, pronunciation.
It's okay. It's okay.
Gautama?
Yeah, Gautama.
Gautama.
Yeah.
Sometimes they consume excellent hard food, eat excellent soft food, taste excellent delicacies, drink excellent drinks. Thereby, they again regain their strength and fortify themselves and become fat. What they earlier abandoned Agivesana, they later gather together again. That is how there is increase and decrease in this body. But what have you learned about the development of mind? When Sachuka Nigantha's son asked the Blessed One about the development of mind, he was unable to answer. Then the Blessed One told him, What have you just spoken as development of the body? Savena. I'm sorry.
Agivesana.
Agivesana.
Yes, correct.
It is not development of body according to the Dharma in the Noble Ones. Is it not development of the body according to the Dharma in the Noble One's disciple? Since you do not know what the development of the body is, how could you know what the development of the mind is? Nevertheless, Agivesama, as how to one is undeveloped in body, undeveloped in mind, and undeveloped in body and developed in mind. Listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, sir. Satuka and Nigantha's son replied. The Blessed One said this.
Okay, thank you very much, Elaine. I would like to invite Mima to continue the next paragraph. Mima, please.
Okay, hold on. It's moving, so I couldn't see it. Okay.
Oh, larger?
It's okay now. Let's see. Oops, I'm sorry. Hold on, please.
Okay.
Okay, I got it. How Agivya is one undeveloped in body and undeveloped in mind. Here, Agivya pleasant feeling arises in an untaught ordinary person. Touched by that pleasant feeling, he lusts after pleasure and continues to lust after pleasure. That pleasant feeling of his ceases. With the cessation of the pleasant feeling, painful feeling arises. Touched by that painful feeling, he sorrows, grieves, and laments. He weeps, beating his breast, and becomes distraught. When that pleasant feeling has arisen in him, it invades his mind and remains because body is not developed. And when that painful feeling has arisen in him, it invades his mind and remains because mind is not developed. Anyone in whom, in this double manner, arisen pleasant feeling invades his mind and remains because body is not developed, and arisen painful feeling invades his mind and remains because mind is not developed, is thus undeveloped in body because mind is not developed, is thus undeveloped in body and undeveloped in mind. And how Agivya is one developed in body and developed in mind. Here, Agivya pleasant feeling arises in a well-taught, noble disciple. Touched by that pleasant feeling, he does not lust after pleasure or continue to lust after pleasure. That pleasant feeling of his ceases. With the cessation of the pleasant feeling, painful feeling arises. Touched by that painful feeling, he does not sorrow, grieve, and lament. He does not weep, beating his breast, and become distraught. When that pleasant feeling has arisen in him, it does not invade his mind and remain because body is developed. And when that painful feeling has arisen in him, it does not invade his mind and remain because mind is developed. Anyone in whom, in this double manner, arisen pleasant feeling does not invade his mind and remain because body is developed, and arisen painful feeling does not invade his mind and remain because mind is developed, is thus developed in body and developed in mind. I have confidence in Master Gautama, thus Master Gautama is developed in body and mind. Surely, Agivya, your words are offensive and discourteous, but still I will answer you. Since I shaved off my hair and beard, put on a yellow robe, and went forth from the home life into homelessness, it has not been possible for arisen pleasant feeling to invade my mind and remain, or for arisen painful feeling to invade my mind and remain. Has there never arisen in Master Gautama a feeling so pleasant that it could invade his mind and remain? Has there never arisen in Master Gautama a feeling so painful that it could invade his mind and remain? Why not, Agivya? Here, Agivya, before my enlightenment, while I was still only an unenlightened bodhisattva, I thought, household life is crowded and dusty. Life gone forth is wide open. It is not easy, while living in a home, to lead the holy life, utterly perfect and pure as a polished shell. Suppose I shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. Later, while still young, a black-haired young man endowed with the blessing of youth in the prime of life, and I sat down there thinking, this will serve for striving. Now these three similes occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before. Suppose there were a wet, sappy piece of wood lying in water, and a man came with a upper fire stick, thinking, I shall light a fire, I shall produce heat. What do you think, Agivya? Could the man light a fire and produce heat by taking the upper fire stick and rubbing it against the wet, sappy piece of wood lying in the water? No, Master Gautama. Why not? Because it is a wet, sappy piece of wood, and it is lying in water. Eventually, the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So too, Agivesana, as to those recluses and Brahmins who still do not live bodily withdrawn from sensual pleasures, and whose sensual desire, affection, infatuation, thirst, and fever for sensual pleasures has not been fully abandoned and suppressed internally, even if those good recluses and Brahmins feel painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, they are incapable of knowledge and vision and supreme enlightenment. And even if those good recluses and Brahmins do not feel painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, they are incapable of knowledge and vision and supreme enlightenment. This was the first simile that occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before.
Thank you. Thank you, Mima. We would like to invite Cassie. Let me see. Richard first, please. Richard. Are you there?
Thank you, Raya. Yeah, I was turning the audio on.
Yes.
Again, Akivasana, a second simile occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before. Suppose there were a wet, sappy piece of wood lying on dry land, far from water, and a man came with an upper fire stick thinking, I shall light a fire, I shall produce heat. What do you think, Agivasana? Could the man light a fire, produce heat by taking the upper fire stick and rubbing it against the wet, sappy piece of wood lying on dry land, far from water? No, Master Gotama. Why not? Because it is a wet, sappy piece of wood. Even though it is lying on dry land far from water, eventually the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So too, Agivasana, as to those recluses and Brahmins who live bodily withdrawn from sensual pleasures, but whose sensual desire, affection, infatuation, thirst, and fever for sensual pleasure has not been fully abandoned and suppressed internally, even if those good recluses and Brahmins feel painful, racking, piercing feeling due to exertion, they are incapable of knowledge and vision, supreme enlightenment. And even if those good recluses and Brahmins do not feel painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, they are incapable of knowledge and vision and supreme enlightenment. This was the second simile that occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before. Again, Agivasana, a third simile occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before. Suppose there were a dry, sapless piece of wood lying on dry land far from water, and a man came with an upper fire stick thinking, I shall light a fire, I shall produce heat. What do you think, Agivasana? Could the man light a fire and produce heat by rubbing it against the dry, sapless piece of wood lying on dry land far from water? Yes, Master Gotama. Why so? Because it is a dry, sapless piece of wood, and it is lying on dry land, far from water. So too, Agivasana, as to those recluses and Brahmins who live bodily withdrawn from sensual pleasures, and whose sensual desire, affection, infatuation, thirst, and fever for sensual pleasures has been fully abandoned and suppressed internally, even if those good recluses and Brahmins feel painful, racking, piercing feeling due to exertion, they are capable of knowledge and vision and supreme enlightenment. And even if those good recluses and Brahmins do not feel painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, they are capable of knowledge and vision and supreme enlightenment. This was the third simile that occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before. These are the three similes that occurred to me spontaneously, never heard before.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much. Can we invite Cassie to continue next paragraph, please?
I am.
Yes, Cassie, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thought, is that where we are?
I thought, suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, suppose with my teeth clenched and my tongue pressed against the roof of my mouth, I beat down, constrain, and crush mind with mind. So, with my teeth clenched and my tongue pressed against the roof of my mouth, I beat down, constrained, and crushed mind with mind. While I did so, sweat ran from my armpits, just as a strong man might seize a weaker man by the head or shoulders and beat him down, constrain him, and crush him. So too, with my teeth clenched and my tongue pressed against the roof of my mouth, I beat down, constrained, and crushed my mind with mind, and sweat ran from my armpits. But although tireless energy was aroused in me and unremitting mindfulness was established, my body was overwrought and uncalm because I was exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. I thought, suppose I practice the breathingless meditation. So I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth and nose. While I did so, there was a loud sound of winds coming out from my ear holes. Just as there is a loud sound when a smith's bellows are blown, so too, while I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my nose and ears, there was a loud sound of winds coming out from my ear holes. But although tireless energy was aroused in me and unremitting mindfulness was established, my body was overwrought and uncalm because I was exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feelings that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. I thought, suppose I practice further the breathingless meditation. So I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears. While I did so, violent winds cut through my head. Just as if a strong man were to crush my head with the tip of a sharp sword, so too, while I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears, violent winds cut through my head. But although tireless energy was aroused in me and unremitting mindfulness was established, my body was overwrought and uncalm because I was exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. I thought, suppose I practice further the breathingless meditation. So I stopped the breaths and in-breaths and out-breaths through my nose, mouth, and ears. While I did so, there were violent pains in my head, just as if a strong man were tightening a tough leather strap around my head as a headband. So too, while I stopped the in-breath and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears, there were violent pains in my head. But although tireless energy was aroused in me and unremitting mindfulness was established, my body was overwrought and uncalm because I was exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. I thought, suppose I practice further the breathingless meditation. So I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears. While I did so, violent winds carved up my belly, just as if a skilled butcher or his apprentice were to carve up an ox's belly with a sharp butcher's knife. So too, while I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears, violent winds carved up my belly. But although tireless energy was aroused in me and unremitting mindfulness was established, my body was overwrought and uncalm because I was exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain.
Thank you so much, Cassie.
Thank you.
You would like to invite Nancy, please, for our next paragraph.
I thought, suppose I practice further the meaningless meditation. So I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears. While I did so, there was a violent burning in my body, just as if two strong men were to seize a weaker man by both arms and roast him over a pit of hot coals. So too, while I stopped the in-breaths and out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears, there was a violent burning in my body. But although tireless energy was aroused in me and unremitting mindfulness was established, my body was overwrought and uncalm because I was exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. Now, when deities saw me, some said, the recluse Gautama is dead. Other deities said the recluse Gautama is not dead, he is dying. And other deities said the recluse Gautama is not dead nor dying, he is an arahant, for such is the way arahants abide. I thought, suppose I practice entirely cutting off food. Then deities came to me and said, good sir, do not practice entirely cutting off food. If you do so, we shall infuse heavenly food into the pores of your skin, and you will live on that. I considered, if I claim to be completely fasting, while these deities infuse heavenly food into the pores of my skin, and I live on that, then I shall be lying. So I dismissed those deities, saying there is no need. I thought, suppose I take very little food, a handful each time, whether of bean soup or lentil soup or veg soup or pea soup. So I took very little food, a handful at a time, each time, whether of bean soup or lentil soup or veg soup or pea soup. While I did so, my body searched a state of extreme emaciation. Because of eating so little, my limbs became like the jointed segments of vine stems or bamboo stems. Because of eating so little, my backside became like a camel's hoof. Because of eating so little, the projections on my spine stood forth like corded beads. Because of eating so little, my ribs jutted out as gaunt as the crazy rafters of an old roofless barn. Because of eating so little, the gleam of my eyes sank far down in their sockets, looking like the gleam of water that is sunk far down in a deep well. Because of eating so little, my scalp shriveled and withered as a green bitter gourd shrivels and withers in the wind and sun. Because of eating so little, my belly skin adhered to my backbone. Thus, if I touched my belly skin, I encountered my backbone. And if I touched my backbone, I encountered my belly skin. Because of eating so little, if I defecated or urinated, I fell over on my face there. Because of eating so little, if I tried to ease my body by rubbing my limbs with my hands, the hair, rotted at its roots, fell from my body as I rubbed. Now, when people saw me, some said, the recluse Gautama is black. Other people said, the recluse Gautama is not black, he is brown. Other people said, the recluse Gautama is neither black nor brown, he is golden skinned. So much had the clear, bright color of my skin deteriorated through eating so little. I thought, whatever recluses or Brahmins in the past have experienced painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, this is the utmost. There is none beyond this. And whatever recluses and Brahmins in the future will experience painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, this is the utmost. There is none beyond this. And whatever recluses and Brahmins at present experience painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, this is the utmost. There is none beyond this. But by this racking practice of austerities, I have not attained any superhuman states, any distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of the noble ones. Could there be another path to enlightenment? I considered. I recall that when my father, the Sakyan, was occupied, while I was sitting in the cool shade of a rose apple tree, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, I entered upon and abided in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. Could that be the path to enlightenment? Then, following on that memory, came the realization that is indeed the path to enlightenment. I thought, why am I afraid of that pleasure that has nothing to do with sensual pleasures and unwholesome states? I thought, I am not afraid of that pleasure since it has nothing to do with sensual pleasures and unwholesome states. I considered, it is not easy to attain that pleasure with a body so excessively emaciated. Suppose I ate some solid food, some boiled rice and porridge, and I ate some solid food, some boiled rice and porridge. Now at that time 5 bhikkhus were waiting upon me, thinking, if our recluse Gautama achieves some higher state, he will inform us. But when I ate the boiled rice and porridge, the 5 bhikkhus were disgusted and left me, thinking, the recluse Gautama now lives luxuriously. He has given up his striving and reverted to luxury. Now, when I had eaten solid food and regained my strength, then quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, I entered upon and abided in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. But such pleasant feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. With the stilling of applied and sustained thought, I entered upon and abided in the second jhana. With the fading away as well of rapture, I entered upon and abided in the third jhana. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, I entered upon and abided in the fourth jhana. But such pleasant feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed it to knowledge of the recollection of past lives. I recollected my manifold past lives, that is, one birth, two births. Thus, with their aspects and particulars, I recollected my manifold past lives. This was the first true knowledge attained by me in the first watch of the night. Ignorance was banished and true knowledge arose. Darkness was banished and light arose, as happens in one who abides diligent, ardent, and resolute. But such pleasant feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed it to knowledge of the passing away and reappearance of beings. Thus, with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, I saw beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, unfortunate and unfortunate, and I understood how beings pass on according to their actions. This was the second true knowledge attained by me in the middle watch of the night. Ignorance was banished and true knowledge arose. Darkness was banished and light arose, as happens in one who abides diligent, ardent, and resolute. But such pleasant feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed it to knowledge of the destruction of the taints. I directly knew, as it actually is, this is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. These are the taints. This is the original of the taints. This is the cessation of the taints. This is the way leading to the cessation of the taints. When I knew and saw thus, my mind was liberated from the taint of sensual desire, from the taint of being, and from the taint of ignorance. When it was liberated, there became the knowledge. It is liberated. I directly knew. Birth is destroyed. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. This was the third true knowledge attained by me in the last watch of the night. Ignorance was banished and true knowledge arose. Darkness was banished and light arose, as happens in one who abides diligent, ardent, and resolute. But such feeling, pleasant feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. Agavasana. I recall teaching the Dhamma to an assembly of many hundreds, and even then each person thinks of me. The recluse Gotama is teaching the Dhamma especially for me. But it should not be so regarded. The Tathagata teaches the Dhamma to others only to give them knowledge. When the talk is finished, Agavasana, then I steady my mind internally, quieten it, bring it to singleness, and concentrate it on that same sign of concentration as before, in which I constantly abide. This is a matter about which Master Gautama can be trusted as an accomplished and fully enlightened one should be. But does Master Gautama recall sleeping during the day? I recall, Agivasana, in the last month of the hot season, on returning from my alms round. After my meal, I lay out my outer robe folded in four, and laying down on my right side, I fall asleep mindful and fully aware. Some recluses and Brahmins call that abiding in delusion, Master Gautama. It is not in such a way that one is deluded or undeluded, Agivasana. As to how one is deluded or undeluded, listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, sir, Saccaka, the Nagantha's son replied. The Blessed One said this. Him I call deluded, Agivasana, who has not abandoned the taints that defile, bring renewal of being, give trouble, ripen in suffering, and lead to future birth, aging, and death. For it is with the non-abandoning of the taints that one is deluded. Him I call undeluded, who has abandoned the taints that defile, bring renewal of being, give trouble, ripen in suffering, and lead to future birth, aging, and death. For it is with the abandoning of the taints that one is deluded. The Tathagata, Agivasana, has abandoned the taints that defile, bring renewal of being, give trouble, ripen in suffering, and lead to future birth, aging, and death. He has cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them so that they are no longer subject to future arising. When this was said, Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, said, It is wonderful, Master Gautama. It is marvelous how, when Master Gautama is spoken to offensively again and again, assailed by discourteous courses of speech, the color of his skin brightens and the color of his face clears, as is to be expected of one who is accomplished and fully enlightened. I recall Master Gautama engaging Purana Kassapa in debate, and then he prevaricated, led the talk aside, and showed anger, hate, and bitterness. But when Master Gautama is spoken to offensively again and again, assaulted by discourteous courses of speech, the color of his skin brightens and the color of his face clears, as if to be expected of one who is accomplished and fully enlightened. I recall Master Gautama engaging Makali Gosala, Ajita Kesakambalan, Pakudha, Kakayana, Sanjaya or Sanyana,
Sanjaya Belatiputa.
Belataputa, the Nigantha Nataputa in debate, and then he prevaricated, led the talk aside, and showed anger, hate, and bitterness. But when Master Gautama is spoken to offensively again and again, assailed by discourteous courses of speech, the color of his skin brightens and the color of his face clears, as is to be expected of one who is accomplished and fully enlightened. And now, Master Gautama, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. Now is the time, Agivasana, to do as you think fit. Then Saccaka, the Nagathan's son, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's words, got up from his seat and departed.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you everyone here for joining reading the sutta out loud. So before we start our discussion, let us do 5 minutes meditation in silence, and then we will start the discussion for today. I'll ring the bell. Now it's the end of the 5-minute sitting session. So please bring your mind back to the body. Take a few deep breaths. And you may open the eyes when you are ready. So welcome everyone once again. We'll start this afternoon the discussion session. But before that, let us recite Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So today I would like to introduce to you another 2 venerable. At my left here is Venerable Kunga, Venerable Kunga from Sravasti Abbey Monastery. Yeah. Hello everyone. Can you see? Yeah. Venerable here, and at my right we have our Venerable from Thailand, Venerable Sikkhamana Ariyavamsi. Yeah, so this afternoon we will share together, join the discussion together with everyone here. Firstly, after reading the sutta, I see how the Buddha experienced himself by living that austerity life, like trying an arrow, how to attain enlightenment. So here we read about, you know, how he tried to learn the practice in austerity at his time, during the ancient India, with that other sages. By his own experience, then he laid down this, he introduced, teach the first teaching about the Noble Eightfold Path from his experience, what works for enlightenment. And on the other hand, he has experienced himself the sensual pleasure life in the palace, and both doesn't work for him. So then he teaches this middle path, how to work on the middle path. I see this, they like the rule the Buddhas lay down for the monastic member. There are 2 areas. One area, there are things that you should do, and the other, the things that you should not do. For example, like during this Vasa period, where we stay in Abbey, in Aranya Bodhi Hermitage, so we have the boundary of the Sima for the Vasa. Like yesterday, we come here to Dhamma Monastery for support this Sunday program. So when we out from the boundary of the Vasa Sima, then we need to recite, if without any obstacle, within the 7 days, we will get back to the boundary where we stay for Vasa. I think, and also the Buddha laid down the rule that unless there's invitation for the Dhamma teaching, that we are allowed to go out from the boundary. Other than that, we are not allowed and should not to go beyond the boundary where we should stay for Vasa. I think during the Vasa, it is a good time for intensive practice or monastic member that you put aside other chore, except you teach the Dhamma, preach the teaching of the Buddha, which is helpful for the community, for the people, then you are allowed to go out. As for lay people, that's what in my mind. What's helpful by following the Dhamma Vinaya that beneficial to our life, it would be like restraint. As you see in the sutta, the Buddha talk about restraining in the middle way, like those in the past who has practiced the austerity in many ways. They may think about like if from a pregnant woman who offer to them, they would not take, make the determination, adhitthana for that, or they only eat a spoonful of food once a day or once a month. So many type of adhitthana determination that they could make, and they try on that, but it doesn't work by just, torture the body, but without training the mind. And also the Buddha talk about if the wood, the sapless piece of wood is wet, we cannot light the fire. In the same way, this bring to my mind then when I was in Burma Meditation Center last year, stay a whole year. So what the Sayadaw said to me, it was an intensive training on the Vipassana meditation. And every morning, we would have an interview. So you have to report what your yesterday, a day before the meditation for 16 hours. So what happened, your experience, you have to tell, and then only the teacher able to guide you what to do and what should not do, what should follow and what should not follow, for what circumstances that arise when you meditate. And he also give me the same example. He said, just like if you want to lit a fire, wood, if the wood is wet, you're unable to lit it up. So the same way, because after seeing a couple of months, I have a great obstacle for me is that when I can let go everything, but always in the very quiet of mind, there arise one object. There's one object always arise, and the Sayadaw was saying that you should abandon that, and no thoughts in the mind. In the meditation, no thought should arise. Then only you can go straight deep into the concentration. No thought. But the mind is not listen to me. After a couple of months, you can, put down everything, but only one thing, that is my research work in the Buddhist University. Because I was in the middle of my MPhil research, and when I meditate, it come to my mind without, you do not want that, but it arises. You're thinking about, oh, how is the research? When am I going to continue that? In one way, the mind is thinking I'll stay for a year or a couple of years or 3 years up to maybe 7 years in the Forest Meditation Center until I complete my work. Then I consider if I will go back to do my research. But the mind just arises in that repeatedly every day when you try to go into deep concentration, it arises like that. Then I have to decide how to overcome it. So I'll give the same simile about the redwood. But fortunately, further on, after a couple of weeks, so I could let go. So then make things easy and capable to complete the task. So in the same way, for the householder, the 5 precepts, I think it's helpful in a way of restraint. First, we restrain to avoid the disposition of the unwholesome mind state that arise, that further perform in action, in bodily action or in speech. That 5 precepts really helpful. And then if you want to go further, then we could try 8 precepts. To fasting, not to eat after lunch, and observe the mind, how the mind reacts. What is the, what arises in the mind. And with the right efforts, we abandon and keep those wholesome. Yeah. Even though in this life, if not everyone here, our friends, Dhamma friends here, not everyone that join this discussion was thinking about the liberation, but at least that the develop of the restraint in this life, it will carry on, right? It will help in the future life. Yeah. And when the conditions change, you might have different thought and intention on your spiritual path. We do not know. But at least we can do this small part first. Keep the 5 precepts. If you can go further, 8 precepts. And if you can go further, short-term, no-shape program to experience the spiritual life with more purified. I think that's very helpful. And then the sutta also talk about first jhana, second, third, and fourth until the Buddha attained enlightenment. That is a further part. And I think for us here, at least maybe we can go from 5 precepts to 8 precepts and go further. You can try on nourishment program for a couple of weeks or a month. That will be helpful. Besides doing your consistent meditation, go for a retreat, and then you can continue it by yourself. I think that would be helpful to make some solid progress for yourself. Maybe some our friends here are very good in reading the sutta, in analyze the content about the philosophy of Buddhism. But we need also to balance it up with practical practice. That will be helpful for both. Yeah, they're more accomplished. And here I would like to invite Venerable Kunga to give some sharing about this topic. Yes.
Which topic?
Now, about this sutta. So we discussed about how the Buddha experienced the austerity life and how he found the way for liberation. Yeah. So, and then he teaches the Noble Eightfold Path, right? And he talked about restraint. Maybe you can give some contribution in this aspect, in your tradition or your personal experience. Yeah.
I was thinking about how this sutta might apply to people living now
Yes.
in this country, in this, well, any country, but just
Can you hear Venerable? Can everyone hear?
Not terribly good.
Okay.
So I was thinking about how this sutta would apply to people who are living now.
I can commemorate that.
Okay. Most of us aren't off in the forest, starving ourselves, living on 1 spoon of food a day, trying to reach happiness that way. But many people are going to the gym, they're running, they're doing extreme marathons, they're you know, obsessed about dieting and the physical appearance of the body, whether they're attractive or not, whether they're beautiful or not, are they aging, do they have wrinkles? And then there's also the people who are constantly concerned about their health, the health of the body. You know, am I getting sick? Do I have a condition? You know, oh, what's wrong with this? I have a pain. What's wrong? What's going to happen to me? You know, and some people, they just proliferate so much about their body. They're just obsessed with their body. And why are people now and throughout history, why are they so obsessed with their body? It's because they think their body is the root to happiness. That is the object that will bring them lasting satisfaction and lasting peace, lasting contentment. Now the Buddha, he lived both extremes. He indulged his body in sensual pleasures as the prince. He felt that was not leading to the kind of peace and satisfaction that he wanted, that he was looking for. And then he tried the opposite end, which is really depriving the body of even the most basic of its needs. So bringing the body right to the threshold of death and seeing if maybe that's the way that the body will finally, you know, produce this lasting fulfillment and happiness that all of us are craving all of the time. But neither route of either indulging the body or depriving the body resulted in what the Buddha was looking for, which is nibbana, liberation from suffering permanently, altogether. And thankfully, he had that insight. He remembered when he was a young child and kind of spontaneously went into the jhana, and he experienced a different kind of happiness, a kind of happiness that's not connected to the body. This happiness comes about through the mind. It's a state of mind. You know, it really has nothing to do with either indulging and gratifying the body or harming the body, you know, exerting the body. This happiness that he found came about through cultivating the mind, and due to all of the positive karma he had from his past lives, he spontaneously entered this profound state of meditation as a young child, just sitting relaxed underneath a tree, waiting for his father. And so then the Buddha goes on to explain what he did. So after recalling that experience, he thought, well, let me do that again and see what happens. And so the Buddha re-entered the first jhana, then the second, the third, the fourth. And then he said, let me develop insight into the nature of suffering. Let me finally use my mind as the tool to gain freedom from suffering, to gain happiness. And through his meditation, he was able to see his past lives. He was able to see the past lives of other beings and how karma and rebirth function. And then he gained insight into the Four Noble Truths. And he finally saw that the root of our suffering lies in the mind. It does not lie in the body. And I think now people are more interested in mindfulness, at least in the United States. It's a very common term and practice that people are interested, even in, you know, popular culture. A lot of people are familiar with psychology, with various kinds of therapy, and even meditation. Meditation has really gained, I think, you know, quite a momentum as people recognize that they're truly suffering mentally. They have so much anxiety, so much stress, so much depression, so much hopelessness, whether that's over their own personal state of affairs or whether it's the world, the condition of the world. There's a lot of hopelessness and a lot of confusion and a lot of despair. So there is this growing recognition that we need to cultivate the mind. We need to pay attention to the mind, not only work out the body, not only keep the body healthy, give it vitamins, give it exercise. We need to do the same with our mind. And it gives me great hope that people seem to now be interested in mindfulness, and they're interested in meditation and other kinds of holistic practices like yoga. Yoga involves the body, but it also involves the mind. And many spiritual leaders throughout history and even today, they say that humans have developed themselves materially quite well, but we are still behind in many ways, the primary way being our own mental and spiritual development.
And I think in the worldly, how people practice the mindfulness meditation, perhaps need to go further, deeper, like for really for the path and liberation, rather than just relax and release from the tiredness, tenseness, stress, right?
Yeah,
Thank
the
you,
mindfulness is not a complete Buddhist practice, but at least there's
convenience way.
Yeah,
the
it's
people in
making its
society.
way in by being secular, but hopefully that will people will recognize the value of taking the next step.
Right.
Ethics.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Venerable. So we would like to invite the Venerable Sikkhamana Ariyavamsi to share. Yeah, if you have any thoughts on this.
Yes. As far as listen to the long sutta today, it's all about the decision, the flip of the wheel.
Can you
The
hear?
first thing, can you hear me? Do I need to speak up?
Yeah, or closer to the computer.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is a long sutta, but it's all about Buddha.
Can share
When,
in 1 minute, perhaps.
pardon me,
Maybe you
is
can share
it
in 1 minute.
is it good now?
Yeah.
You hear
Okay.
me all right, everyone?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Okay. As far as go, this is a long sutta and it's about Buddha in the first practice, and he realized that he go wrong, so he kind of like have a little awake from wrong view to be a right view, to go on middle way. First he go on extreme, and he has see the solution is not gonna go good of his practice, or he's not gonna get nowhere if his body doesn't support the mind. All human come when the first minute you're born, you have your body and you have your mind. Two things, mind and body. So two things have to be a good condition, not wet like a wood. So when two condition is good, it can take you to the good place, like Buddha does. When he flip back the thought from wrong thinking to go extreme, not eat anything, his body will break down. He cannot even thinking because the body cannot take it. The body function the thought, the thought in the body. So both of them have to work together. Good. Just like Venerable have suggestion. Now we have to take care body and the mind. Both of them have to be a good condition. Just like the wet wood. If the wet wood cannot start the fire, you have to wait until the wood is dry, or you have to make that condition of wood be ready to become a fire.
From the water.
Yeah. you know, you have to kind of let it dry or somehow
Mm.
for the right condition to be
To arise.
do the right job, you know. So when Buddha realized that, and then he have changed his practice to be in the middle way, so he maintained a good nutrition in the body. And when the body, because the mind is come from more like the brain or the function inner of human, when the body start become better, good, so the mind start to work right, and then he break through the channel first, second, third, and fourth, and go on until enlightening. So just like all of us now, we have all conditions different. We all come from different. So you have to kind of like, if you're gonna go to enlightening, because that is the most aim that Buddhism looking for. So you practice Buddhism, you have to be cautious how your life become since your firstborn until now. Now you step into know the Four Noble Truths. You know the way to do, to go to the highest one. You have to use a 8 path for the 8 path to attain that. So you analyze your own condition from the wet wood. You have to make it to be a right condition to go for, to go grab Nibbana.
Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you so very much, y'all.
Thank you, Venerable Ariyavamsi. This is very good point that Venerable Ariyavamsi bring up. We have to see our own condition. Everyone's condition is different. So your condition, in what condition that you consider is in as a wet wood, so make it dry and far from water, because everyone have different condition. Maybe things that easy for me is hard for you. Things that easy for you is hard for me. So we have to, know our own condition well. So far from the water, so the firewood can be lit up. Yeah. Besides that, I would like to invite Richard. Richard, I think you would like to share something from your knowledge and your reading. Perhaps you can share in 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's a doctrinal mistake which has arisen over time.
Sorry, Richard. Can you make the volume higher? The setting.
Let's see.
Is it the maximum?
I heard you okay.
I could hear him okay too.
Okay. Okay, please
Can
continue.
you hear me now? I'll try to
Yeah.
get closer. Can you
Yeah,
hear me
thank you.
better?
Yes.
Okay. So I think there's a doctrinal error which has become common, which is comparing the sensuality of household life, although it does have a place in the idea, and the extreme austerities of the monks. Buddha left home. The first time in his life that he describes himself as a bodhisattva is shortly before he leaves home. When he achieves first jhana when he's younger, he does not describe himself as a bodhisattva. Only just before he leaves home, and because he began to get the idea that why should I, who am subject to old age, disease, and death, also search after that which is subject to old age, disease, and death? And then he said, sometimes later, cutting off my hair and beard and putting on the ochre robe, both my parents were crying, and I left home. This is the real story. There's a fantasy story, but that's the real story.
Yes. Yes.
But that's just one point. I just wanted to make that one point. So when he gives his first talk to the 5 ascetics, he says, those who have left home should not veer either to sensuality or to extreme austerities. He makes that point very clearly. He doesn't say the people of the world. He's talking specifically about those who left home. And we can see, especially nowadays in the modern world, not just in Buddhism, but in Hindu gurus and others who are monastics and stuff, many people get carried away by sensuality and they start accumulating money and funds and enjoying the things of the world and everything, right? And then there's the opposite side, like Buddha himself went in that direction after he left home, which is those extreme austerities. So he said, I have found the middle way, and that middle way was using the Eightfold Path, and especially eventually the jhanas. He said the pleasure of the jhanas is not sensual worldly pleasure, so I should not fear that. That was his insight into it. That must be the way, you know, because it's totally different from the sensual way. Now, another thing that people don't understand, there's actually a sutta, I can't think of it right off the top of my head, where Buddha says that the first 3 of the Noble Truths are known by other groups. The difference between Buddha and the others is that he came up with the way, the Eightfold Path that leads to Nibbana. Other groups thought too, yeah, the world is suffering and desire is a cause of suffering. They were all dealing with that, right? And there's some way to cease that. So that's why the different levels, especially when you get up to the formless jhanas, they're trying to cease perception. Each one is a little less perception, a little less perception, a little less perception, right? You know, until finally Buddha discovered, which had been lost was since previous Buddhas, the 5th formless state, complete cessation of, I prefer to translate it as sense perception. Complete cessation of sense perception. And that was his key. Having experienced that, he realized that it was his own mind that was under the influence of avidya, which I like to call incomplete knowledge. Sankharas are like imaginations in that sense, at that level. That's what it means at that level. Imaginary ideas. Oh, I want to be a man. I want to be a woman. I want to be a god. I want to be this. I want to be that. These imaginations are coming up. Okay. Yeah. So he realized it was his own mind that was doing that, and he stopped it. I will not do that anymore. And boom, he became free. He became the Buddha. He attained Nibbana, and he never went back to that again because he had exhausted it. He exhausted the whole thing and penetrated all the way. Anyways, I think that was more than a minute, but I just want to make those few points. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, it's truly in the Sutta, the Buddha, like, you know, teaching the monastic Sangha. When we read the Sutta, so we also hope that besides reflect on ourselves, we also think about, oh, how would it be helpful for our devotees, for our supporter, for our Dhamma friends here. So sometimes we like to connect with thinking how it will be like useful for the lay community around us. Of course, about the Sangha, we also listen. We're also having heard many news that even public. So be aware about that. And always be alert and reflect and check ourselves. Is it abide with the Noble Eightfold Path, the teaching of the Buddha, abide with the roles that we undertaken? That's very important. And I really hope that have some more time to discuss with everyone here. I'm very delighted for this period of time that can have you here to discuss together with about the Dhamma. But then now is about 2:30 is the end of the session. I would give another 3 minutes to Paula so that she can make some announcement for Dhammadharini program. But then on this Tuesday, 7 p.m., we would have a Dhamma talk session. So we'll join again. The sutta that we will discuss already published, I think, in the email that's sent to everyone here. So you may check on the link and can read through the sutta.
This is a very good simile, several simile used by the Buddha in that sutta, talking about how to go on the spiritual path from someone that never heard the Dhamma before, and the conditions that supportive for that, for anyone to work on the path. This is in line with our Vasa theme, which is working the path of liberation and live by the benefits of Dhamma Vinaya for everyone. So during this Vasa, we are not only thinking about ourselves as monastic member that we need to practice intensively, but then we also hope to bring the benefits of the teaching and some roles that laid out by the Buddha that will be helpful in our path for everyone. So let us share today's merits of your contemplating of this sutta and their understanding, and may this merit we share with our parents, our teachers, our family members, our friends and relatives who in need of the merit, and to all those beings seen and unseen around us. May they be free from suffering. May they have an opportunity like us to listen to the Dhamma, to understand the Dhamma, and to experience the Dhamma themselves, so that they have a strong confidence on the path and they could strive on with further development on the path, that they could be soon be free from the cycle of the suffering at the earliest opportunity. So we hope that we all here support each other in this learning on the path and the practice, and in supporting each other by sharing whatsoever merits that we have accumulated for many, many lives. When we hope ourselves to be free from the cycle of rebirth, we do hope the same for others that are around us, like you and everyone around us. Ichitang patitang tviham kipameva samijatu sabbe purintu citta sankappa chando panyaraso yatha manijotiraso yatha vivajantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavan dvantarayo sukhi dikayuko bhava abhiva dhanasili sanicang buddha pacayino cattaro dhamma vadanti ayuwano sukhang bala ayurarogya sampati saga sampati mevacha ato nibbana sampati iminate samijatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Paula, please.
Okay, hi, thank you, Aya. So I am just gonna share my screen real quick. Sometimes, some days I have better luck with doing that than others. I had it all set up, but let's try. Okay, here we go. Alrighty, so sharing my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Great. Okay, so volunteer opportunities, let's just start there. There are so many volunteer opportunities. There are positions on the board of directors, there are positions on committees, or there are just one-time volunteer opportunities to come and help out. We do have a program coming up soon to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Dhamma, and we will need some support for that and volunteers. So all of that information is available on the website as well. And also donating. So there are so many ways to donate. There's a QR code on the screen right now. If you go to Dhammadarini's website, there are so many ways to support. I'll just share personally that I really enjoy the useful things list that is on the Dhammadarini website. Often I will look on that list to see what could be of use to the Sangha. Recently, I just donated some outdoor hooks for hanging items at Aranya Bodhi. And I think for me, it's a very small donation, but I can reflect with joy about thinking about the Sangha using the hooks that I supplied. So there are so many ways to help out. There are groceries that can be supplied. You can also stop by the monastery and you can offer a meal. So there are so many ways to support the Sangha. We also have some really amazing opportunities to practice together coming up. So we have our August 9th is going to be the Dhammadarini 20th anniversary celebration. There will also be more opportunities to celebrate the anniversary online as well. And on Saturday, September 20th, we're having an in-person day-long retreat. It's in the San Francisco Peninsula area, so not at the monastery. We're branching out a little bit. So it's the Dhammadarini Bhikkhunis featuring Ayamaranjana coming to teach. There will be more information on that and also the movie night hitting your inboxes of your emails very soon. There is going to be a screening of a film honoring the life of Mahajapati. So there's so many things coming up. Just check the website and your email for more details. So thank you so much for your time and thank you everyone for your practice.
Okay. See you again. Maybe on Tuesday or next Sunday. Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.